Okay, it's about 8:15 p.m. West Coast time on Sunday, March 9th, 2025. Tomorrow starts week 7 of Fat Nixon, Pervert Hoover, Mango Mussolini, Tangerine Tits, Comb Over Caligula, Groper Cleveland's second term. Week 7. How's everybody doing? Daily Hawk. I'm Hawk. I'm your host. Sunday news recap. Deportation Barbie Kristi Noem, head of Department of Homeland Security, suggested on Sunday that children brought to the country illegally by their parents have a choice in the matter. Children have a choice as to whether or not they're going to cross the border with their parents. Said Noem, well, the kids do have a choice. If they have parents, they make a choice to keep their families together, if they want to or not. So, fuck her. I think we can all agree on that. The populist versus the billionaire, reported by the New York Times. The long-standing animus between Steve Bannon and Elon Musk encapsulates a key tension at the heart of Donald Trump's Make America Great Again movement. It pits those like Mr. Bannon who want Trump to carry out a more fully populist agenda against the ultra-wealthy interests epitomized by Elon Musk, who occupy key positions in the president's orbit. Trump has made clear that he wants to keep both men and their allies within his movement, but Bannon's vocal disdain for Elon has been noticed by the president. In mid-February, the president told Steve Bannon that he wanted him to lay off the attacks on Elon and for the two men to sit down privately. The meeting has not happened yet. Boy, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that one. Trump advisor says Canada has, quote, big drug problem. White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett told ABC News that Canadian authorities are covering up major fentanyl operations. Said Hassett, I can tell you that in the Situation Room, I've seen photographs of fentanyl labs in Canada that the law enforcement folks were leaving alone. Canada's got a big drug problem. So remember last week, a reporter asked, I don't even know what her name is, the White House press secretary. He was asking her about drugs coming in from Canada because he was like, what does Trump even want from Canada relative to the tariffs? And according to this reporter who did his due diligence, the amount of fentanyl that crossed the Canadian border into the United States last year was around 42 pounds. It would fit into a carry-on piece of luggage for a flight. The total amount could fit into one small suitcase. But according to Kevin Hassett, Canadian authorities are complicit in large fentanyl manufacturing operations because they're leaving the labs alone. So I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that Mr. Hassett is full of shit. But that's me. What do I know? Donald Trump continues his pattern of going after law firms who represent people who he doesn't like. We have a lot of law firms we're going after, and he's declaring his plan to target law firms that he considers to be very, very dishonest. He discussed this morning, Sunday morning, with Fox News business anchor Maria Bartiromo. She mentioned the order targeting the prominent firm of Perkins Coie. So there were two attorneys at Perkins Coie. One of them was Mark Elias, who did things that Donald Trump didn't like many, many years ago. Mark Elias left and started his own law firm, and he is the person who beat 60 out of 61 lawsuits filed by Rudy Giuliani following the 2020 election. Mark Elias and the other guy who was hired. So Hillary Clinton hired, through Perkins Coie, hired Fusion GPS, which apparently manufactured or came up with the false dossier, the Steele dossier, before the 2016 election. The guy at Perkins Coie, who was the associate on that case, is also no longer there. So Donald Trump is pissed at this firm for things that were done by employees that no longer work there. And so he's targeting them. He's yanking all of their security clearances so that they cannot properly represent clients who are not Republicans. Trump said, we have a lot of law firms that we're going after because they were very dishonest people. They were very, very dishonest. They could go point after point after point, and it was so bad for our country. We have a lot of law firms that we're going after. So Donald Trump does not any longer believe in the Fifth Amendment, the right to counsel. Or, cool. But elite law firms formed a proud part of the opposition to the first Trump administration. This time around, the industry is fearful of taking on a president who hasn't shied away from punishing his enemies. Trump on Thursday signed an executive order directing agencies to strip security clearances, government contracts, and federal building access from a top law firm with Democratic ties, Perkins Coie. It followed a similar but more narrowly tailored order last week against attorneys at Covington Burling, who had represented Jack Smith. So they're trying to make it impossible for anybody who they go after on an individual basis to find legal representation in Washington, D.C. That's what they're doing. And that's fucked up. That's really fucked up. Ambitious Democrats yak it up about sports. According to the New York Times, several Democrats are flocking to sports radio shows and podcasts as their party tries to correct for what it widely takes as an article of faith, that President Trump won back power with the help from young men and found themselves drawn to him through what was once an apolitical sphere of the media. So Democrats going on podcasts to talk about sports. I'm sure that will go incredibly well. Yes, I can't wait to hear Chuck Schumer's discussion of the upcoming baseball season. Very much looking forward to that. Donald Trump is blowing off concerns of CEOs over tariffs. He's like, it's because the CEOs are like, you're not providing us with any clarity on the economy. We need dependability. We need clarity on what you're actually going to do so that we can plan, so that we can predict the marketplace, so that we can function as businesses. Trump says they have plenty of clarity. They just use that. That's almost like a soundbite. They always say that. We want clarity. They have a reason, Donald. So we'll see what happens there. Tim Walz says Democrats played it too safe in the last election. You think? I'm not even going to read the rest of that last one. Quote of the day, somebody slap me and wake me the fuck up because I'm ready to get on with it. That's Jasmine Crockett reacting to Trump's State of the Union address last week. I know it was a joint address to Congress and not a State of the Union. They're basically the same goddamn thing. So be quiet about it in the comments. Thanks. Democrats turn to profanity and choose your fighter shit. So two things. A bunch of Democrats made videos for TikTok or whatever last week. It was Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, a couple others were like, shit that's not true. And then they talked about something that Trump said in the State of the Union address. And then a bunch of elected Democrats, I think it was primarily women, did the Mortal Kombat thing, choose your fighter, trying to go viral, whatever. And when I saw that first of all, I was like, oh, Chuck Schumer said shit. Oh, God. They're just feckless, man. And then I saw that choose your fighter thing, and I was like, I know exactly how Donald Trump's going to respond to this. He's going to put out a thing saying America did choose their fighter on Election Day. And that's exactly what he did. So anyway, I'm sure Democrats will keep trying. I'm not talking about that. I talked about that in TikTok. Anger at Elon Musk turns violent. Since President Trump's inauguration, more than a dozen violent or destructive acts have been directed at Tesla facilities. The incidents come as Elon Musk has rocketed to prominence. The ire directed at the tech billionaire online has increasingly spilled into real life, with vandalism directed at Tesla storefronts, charging stations, and vehicles. So, and we all saw the footage out of Manhattan this weekend where there was a Cybertruck parked on the street that was being guarded by 9 New York City police officers. And then there was a Tesla dealership in Manhattan that had probably 30 New York City police officers standing in front of it to protect it. Police are there to protect the wealth of the 1%. They are not there to protect us. And that was demonstrated in very clear and tangible terms this weekend by the New York City Police Department in broad daylight. They protect assets, not people. The National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, along with the National Weather Service, has been told by the Trump administration to cut 20% of its workforce and to cut an additional 1,000 workers, raising concerns about NOAA's life-saving forecasts that they might be hindered as hurricane and disaster season approaches. I am fully on board with the southeast part of this country. Every single one of those states voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. I am fully on board with them having to navigate a full hurricane season with an inadequately staffed National Weather Service and an inadequately staffed NOAA. So they don't get the warnings that they need, because that's waste, fraud, and abuse. Warning people about hurricanes and where specifically hurricanes are going to make landfall, apparently that is waste, fraud, and abuse now. Foreign aid cuts set the stage for disease outbreaks. So Elon Musk terminated USAID, and a lot of the things that USAID did was to combat viruses and bacteria in the world's poorest nations. We have now ceased all of those activities. Outbreaks that begin overseas can travel quickly. The coronavirus may have first appeared in China, for example, but it soon appeared everywhere, including the United States. When polio or dengue fever appears in this country, cases are usually linked to international travel. Weird that people, travel internationally, right? Wow. Stephen Miller, the White House's Nosferatu. Somebody married that guy and had kids with him. Somebody married him and willingly had sex with him and had a child with him. Anyway, he has amassed a tremendous amount of power in Donald Trump's White House. He is the deputy chief of staff. So essentially, he's the number 3 most powerful person in the White House after the president and the chief of staff. J.D. Vance doesn't have any power in the White House. He's in the corner playing with some robots or something. But so this points out something that I haven't really talked about a lot. I think that Trump losing in 2020 and then he and all of his people having 4 years to plan for a second term has been way more dangerous than if he was just reelected in 2020, because they had 4 years to get ready for it. And one of the people who spent that entire 4 years getting ready for it, apart from the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025, was Stephen Miller. During the 4 years that Trump was out of office, because he was in the White House during Trump's first term, during the 4 years that Trump was out of office, Stephen Miller started a nonprofit group called America First Legal. And basically, they went around the country and filed bullshit lawsuits against things like mifepristone or DEI initiatives, or reverse racism against white people at colleges, those kinds of things. So he co-founded this group, and they were really aggressive in filing lawsuits for 4 years. And they bill themselves as kind of a right-wing ACLU. So he's had to kind of step away from that organization a little bit now that he's back in the White House. But that group is still going strong, and he still has a lot of power within that group. He founded it. But, they're suing the Department of Education for all kinds of stuff relative to Title IX and, trans athletes and girls' bathrooms and girls' locker rooms. They're suing the Labor Department regarding federal contractors, allowing or encouraging workforce balancing based on race, color, sex, sexual preference, religion, or national origin. And all the DEI stuff. They tried to go after Apple. Apple shut them down. But the first, I think it was around the first year that they were in business or whatever, they received $27 million in donations from something called the Bradley Impact Fund. And I'm going to highlight that because I need to learn more about this organization. It is a group that sends money to conservative organizations. I've never heard of them, but I'm going to learn more about them. However, and they've also been going after a lot of stuff regarding voting rights. The group has been adept at filing complaints and lawsuits that make for good headlines, but it has also been rebuked in court many times for making frivolous arguments. So what they do is they file a complaint and they make great hay out of it, and right-wing media makes great hay out of it, and then they use that for more fundraising. And then when they actually get into a courtroom on the merits, a lot of the times their lawsuits are getting thrown out. And so in late February, an Arizona judge dismissed one of their many voting rights lawsuits, saying its claims were unsupported by facts, rely on convoluted readings of the election statutes, meaning they don't understand the law. All right, so the good guys do win occasionally. It happens much less frequently these days. But if you're seeing this on TikTok, please click on the link in the link tree in my bio and go follow my YouTube page and my podcast page. If you're seeing this on YouTube, please also subscribe to my page. It's free. Click like, leave a comment, do all the other things. Thanks, everybody. This has been Daily Hawk. I am Hawk. I am your host. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Monday. We're starting a new week. Everybody try to manage your mental, physical, and emotional and spiritual health as best as you can. I know it's incredibly challenging these days. If you want to see, my brother just posted another of his meditation videos to our Patreon page at hawkpodcasts.com. And I think he put it up for members on our YouTube page as well. Those are very helpful for me because, I'm the gas pedal, he's the brakes, he's much calmer than I am, and he's better at those kinds of things. So please go check out Falcon's meditation video as well. And I'll see you guys soon. Have a good week. Be safe.